Edwin Hubble and the Hubble Telescope by Pierce Fennick and Nino Genna. Edwin Powell Hubble, born November 20th, 1889, was an American astronomer and pioneer of observational cosmology. His observations and discoveries led to a change in the understanding of the universe. Growing up, he had 7 siblings and later gained a scholarship to the University of Chicago in 1906. He was a lab assistant to Robert Millikan, who won a Nobel Prize for his work in physics. Hubble then enrolled at the University of Oxford, where he studied law of philosophy. Here you see a picture of Hubble on the left. After graduation and then teaching for a little, he then went back to the University of Chicago to study astronomy. As an astronomer, Dr. Hubble was a late bloomer. Before discovering his passion for the stars, Dr. Hubble earned a law degree and served in World War I. His observations and discoveries led to a change in the understanding of the universe, which would later change the understanding of the universe as we know it today. In the early 20th century, it was believed by most that the Milky Way was in fact the entire universe. In 1924, Edwin Hubble used the reflecting telescope at the Mount Wilson Observatory to begin observing nebulae. In the 1920s, while working at the Mount Wilson Observatory with the most advanced technology of the time, Dr. Hubble showed that some of the most numerous distant faint clouds of light in the universe were actually entire galaxies, much like our own Milky Way. His observations and calculations led to the realization that these nebulae were in fact hundreds of thousands of light years away from the Milky Way, and much larger than the diameter of the Milky Way. This is a picture of Dr. Hubble and Albert Einstein. These observations led Hubble to speculate that these nebulae must be located outside the Milky Way, and that the universe must be larger than just the Milky Way. The realization that the Milky Way is only one of the many galaxies forever changed the way astronomers viewed our place in the universe. But perhaps his greatest discovery came in 1929, when Dr. Hubble determined that the farther a galaxy is from Earth, the faster it appears to move away. This notion of an expanding universe formed the basis of the Big Bang Theory, which states that the universe began with an intense burst of energy at a single moment in time, and has been expanding ever since. After continued observations, Hubble began classifying galaxies in 2 categories by their appearance, which would become known as the Hubble classification. By 1929, Hubble had measured the distance to over 20 galaxies using spectral analysis on the distant objects. Hubble noticed that the spectral lines were redshifted, meaning they were moving farther away. This is a picture of Dr. Hubble with Albert Einstein in the front row. Dr. Hubble's in the back left. Continuing his observations, Hubble noticed the velocity at which galaxies were moving away from us divided by the galaxy distance was a constant, meaning there was a linear relationship between the two. The velocity of galaxies divided by the distance of galaxies is known as the Hubble constant. Hubble formulated his observations into an equation that would become known as Hubble's law. With Hubble's observations, he calculated Hubble's constant to be 500 kilometers per second, which was later proved to be incorrect because he only observed a few galaxies. The value is obtained through observations of galaxies. Recent observations have placed Hubble's constant below 75 kilometers per second. Most recently, in March 2013, a Planck satellite observation data obtained by the Hubble constant was 67.8 kilometers per second.
The Hubble Space Telescope. Since the earliest days of astronomy, since the time of Galileo, astronomers have shared a single goal, and that is to see more, to see further, and to see deeper. Launched in 1990, the Hubble telescope orbits Earth 343 miles or 552 kilometers above its surface. Its position above the atmosphere, which distorts and blocks the light that reaches our planet, gives it a view of the universe that typically far surpasses that of ground-based telescopes. The Hubble telescope is one of NASA's longest-lasting space missions to date. It is said to have beamed hundreds of thousands of images back to Earth. The Hubble telescope has helped identify the age of the universe, the existence of dark energy, and the identity of quasars. The telescope also shows the universe in such great detail. It has a wide field camera, a cosmic origin spectrograph, an advanced camera for surveys, a space telescope imaging spectrograph, a near-infrared camera and multi-object spectrometer, and finally a fine guidance sensor. Hubble has revealed the age of the universe to be around 13 to 14 billion years old. This was a more accurate description than what was previously believed. Regarding dark energy, the Hubble telescope found the force that is known to cause sped-up expansion within the universe. This is dark energy itself. The telescope has also shown different types of galaxies ranging in all ages, from toddler galaxies to birthing grounds for planets. Hubble has also showed us examples of gamma ray bursts. Regarding scientific data, Hubble and its findings were the basis of more than 10,000 scientific articles written. One interesting fact about Hubble is that any astronomer can request time to use the actual telescope itself. The astronomer can go and schedule an amount of time per day in order to look through the telescope and find data for the selected project. Having a telescope in space gets rid of the atmosphere problems that land telescopes have. If it is a cloudy day, then no results will be obtained at the time. In space, there are no distractions when it comes to the data being gathered at any point. Atmospheric distortion is also a problem with land telescopes, and this problem is eliminated in space. Wavelengths can also be blocked because of the atmosphere. This is another reason as to why a space telescope is better than a land telescope. Eventually, as time goes on, the Hubble Space Telescope's life will end. It will continue to orbit Earth, but NASA will be unable to bring it back to Earth. They originally hoped to bring it back to put it on display in a museum, but this will not happen. In the words of HubbleSite.org, Hubble's legacy, its discoveries, its trailblazing design, its success in showing us the universe in unparalleled detail will live on. Scientists will rely on Hubble's revelations for years as they continue in their quest to understand the cosmos, a quest that has attained clarity, focus, and triumph through Hubble's rich existence. Thank you for watching our video on Edwin Hubble and the Hubble Space Telescope. We hope you enjoyed.